Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Cannon Chatter TV. I am G Talks Arsenal, your host for the third episode of Three Lions Road to Wembley. Literally, tonight's show, we are going to be reviewing, obviously, the England game, the 1-0 win against Czech Republic last night. But before we kind of get into all of that, just want to say, obviously, welcome to everybody in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. And we'll just do some kind of introductions tonight. We are seriously going international. Obviously, I'm G Talks Arsenal. I'm here in London, East London to be exact. First of all, I will introduce Gary. Gary, say good evening. Tell everyone where you are, how you're doing.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Gary, otherwise known as DWTT on some of the chats or the ways to tweet on Twitter. I'm in New Jersey on the East Coast of the U.S., so it's almost 4 o'clock here. So it's almost the end of the day, but not yet for work anyways.
Good evening. Good evening, Gary. Next up, we've got Mike. Mike, say good evening to everybody. Tell us where you are.
Good evening. Yeah, so I'm a bit closer to home, just in Hertfordshire, in Stevenage. And yeah, I'm doing good, mate. How about you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Tired, busy with work, obviously watching football, juggling lots of stuff, which is what we were talking about before coming on air. But yeah, no, you know what? I'm really well. I'm really excited about having all you guys on the show and just want to kind of get into it. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good, Mike. Thank you. Next, we have Antonio. Good evening, Antonio. Tell us where you are.
Hello. I am currently driving home from Lakeland in Central Florida.
Nice. Good to have you on. You looking forward to the show?
Thank you. And thanks very, very much for the opportunity to actually be here this afternoon, man. I apologize in advance in case something happens and the reception does cut out, but the I-4 corridor back to Kissimmee, where I live, tends to be a bit of a ghost area on occasion. So if I crap out and disappear, don't think it's you guys. I love the show. I love all of you, but, just a bad reception.
No problem at all. And last but not least, we have our very own, Lottie, Cannon Chatter TV, Cannon Chatter TV team member. How are we doing, Lottie?
I'm good. And just so everybody knows, I'm in the best place in the world. I'm in North London. But unfortunately, a bit too close to Tottenham. So if anyone wants to come and get me out of here, please do.
Cool. So that's our introductions. Just want to say, hello to, everybody in the chat. We've got some hellos here. Good evening. Just saying hellos before we kind of get the show kicked off. And then we've got Keith there. Evening, you lovely lot. So what we're going to do at this point is we will run the intro video and then we'll just kind of get started. Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's So yeah, welcome back. So obviously, the Euros at this point is really, kind of heating up. Obviously, the group stages are coming to a close. I think all England fans are patiently waiting to see who awaits us in the next round of 16. So we're going to start really right at the beginning in terms of yesterday's game. We're going to start with the lineup. Now, please do, those of you who are on the panel, I know you probably can't see it. Can you see it a little better now?
Bit more.
Yeah, that's all good, mate.
Yeah, perfect.
Right, so what I will do is I'll just kind of run through it. So obviously, as expected, we had Pickford in goal. We had Walker right back, Stones, Maguire, and Shaw left back. We had a midfield three of Phillips, Rice, and Grealish. And then we had a three up top of Saka, Kane, and Sterling. So generally, I'm not going to go into too much detail in terms of my thoughts on the lineup. But in terms of this lineup, I'll come to you first, Gary. What were your thoughts?
Well, as soon as I heard Saka was going to get the play, then my smile got a little bit bigger. So I was hoping to see that. I think the last couple of matches, I don't feel like the attack from England was that good. So I was looking for some improvements there. Her and Saka, and then Grealish and Saka, whichever one you want to say, whichever order you want to say. I was happy to see that because I think they needed that. What I was seeing from that front four wasn't as good as I think it could be. And to me, it was kind of proven for, at least in the first half, it's proven that if you put some of these different players in there, you might get different results. And it looked good to me when we did that. So yeah, I was happy to see that. I know they did some changes on the back line. I think the differences there, at least I don't think are that big. So I think it was okay with the changes that they did on the back line. So I was fine with that. But really, I wanted to see something different on the front, in our attack. So yeah. That was good to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of obviously the lineup, Lottie and Mike, any more thoughts with regards, obviously the starting lineup, with regards to fullbacks, maybe obviously the inclusion of Maguire in this game, or even anything in the midfield?
I was surprised to see Walker starting, to be honest. He was just so off his game in the last time he played, and I thought, do you know what? Why not get... Hang on a second before I say this. Yeah, get Trippier on. Sorry, guys. Trippier on. I mean, he's on a roll. He's got the he's just won the Liga with, I think it's La Liga with.
Yeah, Atletico.
Yeah, sorry, guys, my brain's not in gear. I've been up since 5 this morning. But yeah, he's got the momentum going, and I don't see why we're not starting him at the moment. But Walker did okay, but there's a few moments where I was like, oh shit, what is he doing? But thankfully, Pickford was on point last night. I was so pleased with that.
I think with Walker, you know what, to be fair, I kind of felt quite assured with him in terms of defensive aspects. There was a couple of times where I felt like he was quite comfortable kind of chesting the ball back to Pickford. I think, and I'll come to you in a second, Mike, with regards to the lineup, but just off the back of what you were saying, Lottie, the one area that I thought Walker lacked in terms of his game was offensively. I didn't really see him as an attacking option. I thought at one point, like the way Saka plays, I thought him and Saka could potentially be quite dangerous down that right-hand side. But really and truly, it was almost like Saka was doing it all by himself. There was no kind of real overlap, or Walker wasn't really offering much. But I thought defensively, I actually thought Walker was quite good. Any thoughts on the lineup at all, Mike?
Yeah, so when you're talking about Kyle Walker there and Kieran Trippier as well, that could have been an option. Reece James is an option for me. I thought he was excellent for Chelsea this season, and I think that, he would support Saka really, really well going forward.
It would have been phenomenal.
And yeah, it would have been a really good partnership between Saka and Reece James for me. I was a bit surprised to see Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips both play. Calvin Phillips was fantastic first game, and Declan Rice was up there as well in that game for me. But I'm not too sure about playing them both all of the time because they're pretty similar players in my opinion. Maybe you could have played a Jordan Henderson maybe from the start, or Jude Bellingham maybe as well as another option. But I was pleased to see Saka, pleased to see Grealish, and I was actually pleased to see Harry Maguire start as well. And I thought he had a good game. I don't think Harry Maguire did anything wrong at all.
Yeah, no, fair point. And I think we'll definitely, touch upon the centre-back situation, as the kind of show progresses. But just an interesting point
Sorry,
there.
G. Sorry, G. France are 2-1 up.
Yeah, they just won 2-1.
I just looked down at the screen and it said 2-1 up. Literally. Wow.
Who scored? Do you know who scored? Did you catch the goal?
It was Benzema. No, I think Benzema to the far corner. Yeah, it was a really nice. It was a really nice play. I just caught the end of it, but it was he crossed the goal. Goalkeeper had no chance. He was going the wrong way.
Brilliant.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Sorry, G.
No worries. That's what we want. We want those kind of updates because obviously, I said to the guys off air, I said, we're probably going to obviously as the show progresses, we're going to eventually find out who we've got in the last 16. So by all means, if there are any, I can't actually watch it because of where my TV's positioned. So if there are any goals or incidents, do let me know. But just a very interesting point there from Jake Clegg. Good evening, Jake Clegg. I think Walker gets picked for his athleticism. His pace gets him out of trouble. But apart from that, he's been average at best. I could agree with that to a certain extent. I think there's a lot of players, to be honest, in world football where they do heavily rely on their pace. I think Walker definitely is one of them. But I would say on the whole, I've been quite happy with the way he's played defensively. But I don't think at the moment, or from what I've seen, he's offered much going forward. We'll just go through some more comments here before we move on. Benson,
me and you are going to fall out over that. I tell you that now.
Hungary, if it stays like this, stop the count. Saka and Grealish both absolutely sensational last night. Different kettle, changed the game, made England look exciting for once, and we will definitely get onto Saka and Grealish. Believe you me. So we won't jump ahead just yet. And lastly, Hello Keith, aka Arsenal legend. Right now, we're going to at this point. I'm going to try and get Antonio back in because I know he keeps on I know you keep on kind of coming in and out with your reception, so I will definitely try and keep hold of you as and when I can. Okay,
that's fine, man. No worries about it. If it gets too much, I'll just I'll log off here and then I'll comment on the live section.
No problem at all. Did you have anything to kind of add with regards to the lineup in terms of the players that Southgate selected?
Not much, other than the fact that I am glad that he actually finally decided to put in Saka. You don't understand the level of insanity that I felt when I finally got around to seeing him. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the game live as for the exact same reason that I'm having a hard time now. I was heading back to the house and reception was really bad.
No problem.
So I didn't really get to see a solid statistic about the lineup. But I heard Saka was on there and I lost my marbles. I heard that.
Yeah, I think a lot of Arsenal fans did. I know me and Lottie were even messaging each other, before the game, and we were like, as much as we were looking forward to the game anyway, but once we saw obviously Saka's inclusion, Grealish included in the lineup, I think all English fans were really, really excited. More so because of that reason. So yeah, no, that's great. Okay, now what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of move on to the kind of goals, incidents, things that kind of happened throughout the match. Obviously, it was a 1-0 win, so it wasn't a huge amount in terms of kind of goal mouth action, but nevertheless, we'll kind of go through some of that now. So in the first minute, obviously the game kind of kicked off, and I don't know about you lot, but it seemed as though there was a different energy about England with regards to this match. Now, I'll come to you, Mike, first this time. The first minute, I don't know if you remember, not sure if you had a few bevies, but there was
when he hit the post,
Yes. So talk us through that incident, and just kind of give us opinion on, should he have scored, and just kind of even, let's poke the fire a little bit in terms of, Sterling's end product. Was that a chance that he should have put away? Was he unlucky, or was it just more evidence that Sterling is not clinical enough for England?
I think it is the latter, really, for me. I think it's where he's not clinical enough for England. I think if that's him doing that for Man City, he puts it in the back of the net. Maybe he might have, rather than try to chip the keeper, might have just opened up his body and placed it past him or something like that. So I believe personally that at the start of that game, if that's Man City, then Man City are 1-0 up.
Okay. How does everybody else feel? Lottie, I'll come to you. How do you feel with regards to that kind of early chance that Sterling had? Did you feel as though this was England you were seeing, or did you just kind of look at it as, oh, here we go again, Sterling's failed to put it away?
Do you know what I'm going to say about him? You just know. No end product. And he scores. He shuts me up. He loves to do it. For me, I think before that build-up play and the goal came into play, I was looking at them just like in general, like the shape and things. And for some reason, but it was really bizarre. But Harry Kane was out on the wing and Sterling was in the middle, and I thought,
I remember you posted about it.
Yeah. What the hell is going on here? But that soon left my mind as soon as I saw Saka with that ball. Watching him is it's just magic. And as Arsenal fans, we know this. We've had this all season long.
Yeah.
And that build-up play, and it's a shame that the cross didn't go in well, but was it Grealish that picked it up? I think.
Yeah, it was. So
Grealish picked it up. It was just like all slow motion. I'm thinking, please get it in the back of the net. Yeah. I know it's not De Bruyne, but get it in the back of the net, and he did for once. But he's still got no end product most of the time.
With the goal there as well. Sorry, G, but that was a beautiful pinpoint cross from Grealish as well. The way he just chipped it straight onto the back post there for Sterling. And I've that goal was made by Saka, made by Grealish, and I think even Harry Kane, the form that Harry Kane's in, would probably still have scored that because of the work that was done in the build-up.
Definitely.
I mean, you look at that picture, and it's that's easy, right? That should be easy. I mean, it's too easy. And like you said, I think if Saka is not playing, that defender is probably a little closer to the post anyways, and probably clears it off the line. He just draws everybody in and sucks everybody in. Next thing you know, Sterling is sitting there by himself as he's putting the header in. So, yeah, Sterling, same thing. He scored 2 goals, but everything else that I watch of him, no. I mean, it's if it's the lost opportunities is what I kind of look at sometimes when I see him play. Is that if he could just hold on the ball and control it for just a little bit. Maybe there's another attack in there, and it's always lost when he gets to his feet. And I'm always like, that's an opportunity that you don't see. It's not a chance that you see on any kind of stat sheet, but it's an opportunity lost when later in another game when he doesn't get that goal. You're looking at him going, "This is we need a player that can create, hold on to the ball and put an attack in that everybody can join in." And it never happens. It always just dissipates and it's gone. And you're like, well, there goes another opportunity we had there, and we see that consistently from him. He loses the ball too easy, and it's weird because he does play for City, and they seem to really, you see them play, and the ball barely ever gets lost. The dribbling and the passing seems to be crisp, and we're not seeing it here. And I don't think it can't be the players around him, right? Yeah. We've got the best players in England playing with us. So.
But let's look at it like this. Right, so because obviously, I'm not going to really give my opinion on Sterling tonight, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. We've scored 2 goals in 3 games, both of which have come from the foot and the head of Sterling. You take Sterling out of this team, where do we get our goals from, guys? Where do we get our goals from? Because at present, we've scored 2 goals in 2 games.
Sorry, G, there's a Portugal penalty.
Yeah,
handball.
Just about to take it again now.
I'm about 30 seconds behind then. Sorry, Mike.
No problem. Keep us updated if it goes in. But yeah, so we'll probably wait until we're waiting to see if this goes in. I know Ronaldo's kind of stepping up right now as we speak, ready to break another record, and he scores 2-2.
Yeah, 2-2. Yeah,
2-2. So yeah, as the show goes on, that situation is going to develop, and we'll give you updates throughout. You're probably all watching it as well.
Has anyone got the Hungry Game on at all?
No.
Still 1-0 over here. So
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Brilliant, Gary.
Yeah.
So just kind of going back to that, in terms of, if we drop him at this point, who do we play instead in that right hand side? That's going to get us goals.
Jadon Sancho for me. I think Jadon Sancho is an all-round player, not just for his goals, for his creativity, everything about Jadon Sancho for Borussia Dortmund. If he can bring that into England, then for me that is the ideal replacement.
Are we all agreed on that? Or do we potentially think? I have to be honest. I'm not in support of that. I would struggle to see. I would struggle to drop Sterling at this point, despite I take on board that he's kind of all round. It kind of reminds me of the whole Aubameyang argument in that when he's not scoring goals, he's not really offering anything. But right now, he just seems to be the only guy that's scoring. So I just could imagine dropping Sterling, and we drop out of this competition. I could just imagine the headlines. Like, why would you stop the only player in the team that's getting goals or looks like it's getting goals? So. For me, Sancho, no, but he's a good player, that's for sure. We can look at his Dortmund stats, suggest that. Lottie, Gary, Antonio, would you? I know Lottie, you would drop Sterling, but who would you play in his place?
Sorry, Gary. Sorry, I'd actually switch Saka to the left and get Sancho on the other side. Grealish behind him, and get Calvert-Lewin up front. Why not?
Okay.
I mean,
and drop Kane.
Hell yes, his
For the
form after
last
his form.
16?
I think we need to see something
His
different.
form?
Yeah.
Something different.
Okay.
Something different.
So,
I know people are not going to disagree.
even though we would potentially play, Portugal or France, just say, for example, we're going to play Portugal or France in the last 16 of the Euros, you would drop Kane at that point.
Yeah, I mean, if we get France, Hugo Lloris knows how Kane plays. I'm sorry, but they've got the advantage in my eyes.
Okay, no problem. Gary, how are you feeling about this conversation?
Yeah, this might sound like I'm jumping on the Lottie bandwagon, but I was thinking to myself, you know what? I don't have a name in mind, but I know that Saka can play on either side of the field. So whoever you can bring in that you feel is up and ready to go, bring him in. And if that means you move Saka around, you move him around. He's versatile. He can play on both sides of the field. So why not? I would have wanted to go into this match having already 4 points, like you said, change things around. I would have definitely. I think I posted it on. I forgot who's somebody's Twitter tweet that I would have liked to have seen Grealish, Saka, and somebody other than Sterling and Kane playing up top because we have enough players. We didn't bring. I don't think we brought any players that can't play in a third game when you have 4 points. I don't think we especially up top. So I think we have some good quality players. Pick one or two. Just like we said, you got DCL who can bring in and play. I mean, why not? It's I would have liked to have seen that, especially in the third game. I know to G's point, it might be difficult now to switch things up because you haven't played these players. They haven't played with each other long enough to get a feel of whether it's going to work going forward. And that's part of I think that's part of a little bit of why, the Southgate, people have a little problem with Southgate sometimes because now he's kind of pigeonholed himself. He can't really change too much because it's going to be the first time. And then if it doesn't work and it fails, you know what? I was changing it. And it's like, the players that he wants to play now can't because they haven't had any chances to get in the game. And I don't know. They should have. I think they should have.
I feel right now that the changes that he took against the Czech Republic, I think English fans would feel comfortable with. So I don't think at this point, if you saw Harry Maguire, obviously in the next lineup, you would have an issue. Obviously he's one of England's best centre backs. He came in against Czech Republic. He looked like he never left really. He kind of just slotted back into the team. Obviously after Saka and Grealish's performance, which we'll get into a little bit later, I think English fans will be more uproar if they didn't actually see them in the starting lineup. But in terms of DCL, in terms of Sancho, I do think English fans would be optimistic and excited about seeing them, but I just feel as though, given what kind of Gary said, I'll back you up there, Gary. I think that's been my criticism of Southgate. He just doesn't try things. He just doesn't try new things. He just kind of sticks to what he knows. And I feel as though at this stage of the competition, if he was to all of a sudden become experimental and it didn't work, it'd be gone. And I honestly don't think he's got the balls to actually do that at this stage of the competition. I think he's going to play it safe and he's going to go with his regular, his regulars that he always puts in. So that kind of
it's 1-1 over here. Yeah, it's 1-1 in the Hungary game.
It's 1-1. Yeah. So who are we right now as it stands? Who do we face in the next round? Does anybody know?
I think it's still Portugal, isn't it?
Yeah, Portugal at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Still Portugal.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So
2-1 Hungary. They literally scored straight down the
2-1.
Yes! Come on!
I told you they needed to score two, so there's the two.
What is going on? What is going on? Oh my gosh, this is madness. 2-1 Hungary. Okay. Right. So this
Antonio's sending us some love in the chat.
Okay, no problem.
So he's going to chime in the chat for a bit.
No worries. Yeah, so that kind of answered, my kind of next point, which was obviously, I think it was on the 25th minute where Maguire actually played in a really nice ball into Kane. And he did some really good work in the penalty area. He cut it back. He beat his man, and there was almost like that situation where he could have passed it again to Sterling because he was kind of free, but he took a low shot and the keeper pulled off a good save. And my question was, why hasn't Kane carried this form from Tottenham and from the Premier League into the England setup? what do we think with regards to this? Because I said in episode 2, if England are to progress in this competition, we need Harry Kane to find his shooting boots. Regardless of my Arsenal bias, regardless of the fact that he plays for Spurs, if this guy does not find his shooting boots, we're not going to go far in this competition, in my opinion. So what's the issue? I'll come to you first, Mike. Why is it that he's not scoring for England?
I think that when you look at it now, obviously he's got a lot on his plate. I think he's got a lot on his mind in regards to moving on from Tottenham. Doesn't know who his manager's going to be. I think there was another man that rejected Tottenham again today as well. So just had to get that in there. And I think that plays a part for me. I think Harry Kane, wants that move, and he's just kind of, I don't think he's all there for England at the moment in regards to physically, mentally. Maybe it's been a long season for him as well, but I do think that this move to, is it Man City or to Spain or wherever he's going to end up at, is playing on his on his mind a bit, and that's why he's not playing as well as he would normally for the country.
It's a tough one because, like I say, despite our dislike for him, throughout the season, at the end of the day, we are England supporters, and we do need him to deliver. I can't say it more louder than this guy does need to really find form. I think if he finds form, then I think we could easily get to the semi-finals, if not go all the way potentially. But I think with his current form, I think it's going to be tough because as much as I look at some of the other players, we look at Saka, but Saka's been, as amazing as Saka is, that is probably the only one part of his game that he could improve on, is in terms of his kind of goal scoring, kind of end product there. Are we going to get goals? How many goals are we going to get out of Sterling in a major competition? Grealish, Sancho, Ollie Watkins, DCL. It doesn't look like Southgate's favouring DCL at all. So yeah, it's one of those conversations that we hope we weren't having as England fans. But I think Kane himself must feel a lot of pressure now, particularly going into the last 16. Gary, do you fancy him finding his form as the competition progresses?
He's had 3 games to get there. I don't even know. I don't know. I think 3 in a row. I think that's why. Like I said, that's why I kind of wanted to see something change, because he's got 3 games in a row and he hasn't looked good at all. I mean, when I look at him, I see him so deep. He's sitting so deep that by the time the attack comes, he's so swell. He's got all these defenders around him. He can't get it out of there. And, you got Saka and for me, Grealish kind of just storming down the field. They don't have a striker with them. I mean, they're looking around and he's not there. And it reminds me somewhat of what I see in Arsenal sometimes when Lacazette's playing. He's so deep. Yeah. When you've got these players out there that want to go and they look around for their striker and they're like, he's not here. Like, what's going on? And I'm seeing that today. I don't know if he's been asked to do that, but and when he does get a chance, you expect him to put it between the sticks, right? Between the posts, right? And he's not doing that either. So I think he's probably been asked too much. And also, I didn't even think about the fact that he wants to leave. But if he wants to leave, the easiest way to do that, put the ball in the goal.
Exactly.
Put the ball in the goal. Guess what? I want out. You're gonna have to let me go because I'm worth whatever they want to pay. So just do it because I don't want to be here, kind of thing. He said it. That's the thing. If you can't back it up, then this is what it looks like, right? He wants out, but he's not playing like it, right? He's not the best in England right now. Those types of things come up when you don't do that, because then you don't command any. He doesn't. When you go to the bargaining table, he can't say, "Look, see what I did in the Euros." Everybody's looking at it going, he's holding them back, right? That's one player that's holding England back right now, because you expect at least to be putting, a lot of passes in, right? Getting assists, right? He's a double man in the Premier League. You expect, all right, well, if he's not going to score, then at least put some of these players in positions to score. That's not happening either. So I don't know if he's going to be able to get it back mentally. He needs to for England, because like you said, I don't think they're going to change. Like you said, Southgate has to go outside of his safe space and do something that he hasn't done before and play somebody who hasn't played, 70 minutes in a match yet. Right, if he goes up top there, so it's going to be a little challenge for him, and that's what you do. You're once again, England's too deep for them to have this problem, right?
Yeah.
They should have.
I think it. You know what though? I think it stems from his early form in the league with Spurs. There was a time when he was getting accolade upon accolade upon accolade for dropping deep and putting assists on for Son up front. And everyone was like, oh, this is such a new dimension to Kane's game. It's fantastic. It's this, it's that. And I feel as though that, like, it's almost like that's where it's come from. And now it's almost like he's kind of adopted that role within the England side when really and truly we need him to just play up front. We have players in the midfield that can do that. And we just really don't need him to do that.
Many of them as well. Foden, Mason Mount, obviously, he was self-isolating. Saka, Grealish, Sancho. There's loads. Yeah.
When I see Foden and Saka go in opposite directions, I'm like, come on. I mean, at some point he needs to play with somebody his own age, right?
Definitely. But yeah, so moving on from Kane, I'll come to you first on this one, Lottie. So on the 27th minute, there was a really good save from Pickford to keep the scoreline at 1-0. I don't know if you remember it. I did, or I do remember it. It was it was a really good strike, and I remember having a conversation with you, Lottie, about the previous game as well, where he didn't really do much in the game, and then there was a really good strike. I think it was from O'Donnell, one of the Scottish players, and he had a real strong hand behind the ball. Now, my question is, for me, this was a world-class save. What's your opinion, really, on Pickford? Is he England's number one? How has he performed in this tournament? Should he keep his spot? Does he get unfair criticism? Just give it to me. Like, what's your opinion on Pickford?
Well,
as England's number one?
I don't mean to be funny. He's going to get criticism. He is number one. End of story for me. He makes me nervous, but I watch Leno all season, so any goalkeeper makes me nervous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as we said in the last show, Jordan, big hand Pickford. I mean, his hands are huge. How can he not get his hands to it? I mean, it was a great save. I was just watching that ball go across. It was just like slow motion, and I'm like, please get to that ball. So no, he's definitely deserves number one spot at the moment. I mean, we've got Sheffield United's keeper in reserve and
Ramsdale, the one that we're actually linked with.
Yeah. I'm not too keen on that, I'm afraid, Mike. But yeah, no, out of the keepers that we got, out of the quality we got, he is number one. There's no doubt about it. He's I'm going to link this to the Premier League. He is one of the better English keepers in the league. End of story for me.
Yeah.
But keepers make me nervous either way, especially when you watch Leno all season. I know I've just said that, but it's, as an Arsenal fan, I think you guys can relate to that.
Yeah. So, Mike, for you, do you agree with that? You think, he is England's number one and he should definitely still be in the lineup kind of moving forward throughout the competition?
Originally, I liked Nick Pope. I thought Nick Pope was a very good goalkeeper. But I think, obviously, with his injury as well now, Jordan Pickford is able to cement that place as number one. And, he's got 3 clean sheets as well. So, who am I to argue with that, to be fair? If he's doing it on the pitch, then fair play. If he continues up with that form, then, that could be a key factor in England getting far in the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Okay. So moving on slightly throughout the game. So on the 35th minute, I thought there was a great piece of defending by Luke Shaw. The ball was kind of out on the right-hand side. It was whipped in, and he literally put his head where I think most defenders wouldn't have. He didn't bottle the challenge, and I think he ended up basically getting kicked in the head. And for me, I thought it was a great bit of defending. Now, I know he's not everybody's, most kind of popular player. Whether that be because he plays for Man United, or whether that's actually fair and based on his performances. But I'm gonna say something, and you might be shocked. I've actually been really impressed with him so far. I think he's been defensively really sound, and I think even offensively going forward, I think he's given us, real width on the left-hand side. He's managed to kind of pick out some really good passes. So what are our honest and genuine thoughts. Put on our England caps right now. In terms of Luke Shaw's performances so far in this tournament, should he have that left back spot? Is that his? Should he continue in the side? And what do you make of his actual performance so far? I'll come to you first, Mike, and then I'll go to Gary after.
I quite like Luke Shaw. I think he's a really good player. You know, we more effective on the left-hand side than we were on the right. Kyle Walker wasn't getting forward. Luke Shaw was able to get forward and sort of bomb on and push on. So, I'm a big fan of Luke Shaw. I think, you know, when Ben Chilwell was announced that he wasn't going to be available, I thought Luke Shaw was the sensible option. You know, Kieran Trippier could have played there as well, maybe, you know, a bit more experience. And, you know, but I just prefer having a naturally left-footed player on the left-hand side, and that's what Luke Shaw is. And, you know, he's good defensively, good going forward. And the Ben Chilwell situation just, you know, was played into his hands as well. So, yeah, I thought he didn't do anything wrong last night. I thought he had a good game. Okay.
What about you, Gary? Would you obviously moving into the last 16, whoever we do end up playing, would he keep his spot for you? Would you bring in Trippier to play there? How would you kind of proceed with the kind of left back position given all the circumstances?
Yeah, no, I mean, to Mike's point, I like what he's been doing in the matches, and I don't think there's much reason to change that one, you know, from what I've seen so far. And, you know, it's a game every 4 or 5 days. So let him play it out. I mean, the one thing, like I said, the team, you know, the number of players that they have right now, they can't go wrong. They all out for a little bit something different. But there's no reason for me to feel like you need to change much on the back line at all. Because even if they did, I still don't think the drop off is significant enough that it would make that big of a difference. So they can go multiple different directions if they need to, for whatever reason. But, you know, be nice to just keep it the same going through, and then only change it up when you really have to. But I like what I saw from Luke Shaw. Like I said, when I was watching the last game, anyways, I kind of was so focused on the front side because that's where I felt there were problems, at least not big problems, but just they could do a lot better. You know, That's kind of what I was looking for, some improvement at the front of the you know, in the front than what I saw at the back. I think they did pretty well. They've been doing well, I think, in the back. Like you said, no goals have touched the net. You know, so we want to keep it that way. So don't change. You know, it's not broke. We won't fix it. You know, leave it alone.
Definitely. I'll come to you, Lottie, next. Obviously, halftime came and went. And I think at this point, all England fans were feeling pretty good. I know we spoke at halftime over WhatsApp, and, you know, we were really excited, even though Stephen probably wasn't as excited as us. But, you know, there was a halftime substitution. Declan Rice was taken off for Henderson, and I'm not saying this just to link Henderson with the second half performance, but if I can just focus more so on that midfield position. Now, Declan Rice was taken off, Henderson was brought on. Do you think that was just strategic? Do you think it was to give Declan Rice a rest after obviously however many games, or do you think it is a potential signal that Henderson will be having more of a kind of pivotal role moving forward in the tournament?
I think it could be both. To be fair, I mean, Declan Rice has been a sort of unsung hero for this, and I think he's been absolutely brilliant. He's played all 3 games. I think he's brilliant. I do enjoy watching him play, to be honest. I think Henderson coming on did deflate it a bit because he's obviously come back from injury. He didn't have any game time before he was even called up, which still doesn't make sense to me. But I really hope he doesn't have a more pivotal role, if I'm honest with you. I'd rather keep Declan Rice there. He's earned it. He's earned it in my eyes.
Okay, because this is something that really kind of divides England fans, or should I just say maybe Liverpool fans and the rest. But yeah, it just obviously I noticed over Twitter, you know, there was quite a few, you know, kind of feisty interchanges between England fans with regards to the kind of Henderson and Declan Rice debate. You know, Mike and Gary, I don't mind who goes first. You know. how do we feel about the kind of central midfield role? Do we feel as though it's Declan Rice's position to lose at this point, or do we think we would benefit more from Henderson experience moving as we move into the latter stages of the tournament?
I guess I'll go first here. I think this is the fear of the English fan, because if you were going to kind of pull a player out and get him prepared for the next match, or pull a player out for rest, it would look the same as what you did with Declan Rice coming out of the match. So which way is he going to go? Which way does the spin, does the dial go with that move? I feel like Grealish came out early, and I'm assuming that's to rest him. The game wasn't going as, it wasn't as fluid as it was in that first half, so it was easy to take him out. I thought Saka would have come out a little bit sooner as well, but he didn't. So, I don't know what that means, but that's the fear, is like, what does that move symbolize? Is it just to rest a player, or is it, you know what, let's see how you play for almost a half here, or for a half, right? And then
Germany just equalised. Yeah, Goretzka just scored. Yeah,
it's just come up. Steven's giving us the update as well.
I think it came off a defender and off the goalkeeper. So yeah, well,
interesting.
So I feel like that's the fear there. We shouldn't change. Like, if you're based on what you said already, Declan Rice should be playing, right? Because if Sterling's going to play, Declan Rice is playing, right? But Saka and Grealish have cemented what we feel are spots as well with what they did for almost 90 minutes there. So I think those should be easy choices going forward. But the Hendo move, what was that for? I mean, right? He was injured still, right? And he's coming back, so he's not 100% either physically and mentally ready to go, just because he hasn't been playing. And I think it takes a while. That's a strange one to bring him on. I don't. That's why we're all thinking, what is that for? What is the meaning of that? Were there other players you could have brought in the midfield, maybe to get a feel of how they're doing, that came in healthy, that may have came in ready to play from day one? So yeah, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just going to say, I know what Gareth Southgate was doing. He wanted to give Henderson 45 minutes, because I think he will start next game. I think he'll start on Tuesday with the experience. That's Gareth Southgate. He wants to give Henderson some. I know you're not in agreement with that, or you don't like that, but I think that's what he'll do.
That's why I asked the question, because I'm with you, Mike.
I think he'll use the experience in the game on Tuesday.
Yeah, so that's what I think. Yeah.
No, I can't not disagree with you, Mike. But I just, after what he pulled in the first game with that penalty and pulling rank, I just find him very greedy as a player. It's all about, it's the Henderson show, and it's not. He needs to be in the team. I mean, I know I'm digressing a bit, but later in the game, he was pushing Saka out of shape from going forward, and it completely just disrupted the attack flow. And I'm just trying to figure out, why is he so greedy all the time? It's just mind-boggling. You're meant to be as a team. You're not the star. I'm sorry, there's bigger stars than you on there. Even Saka's a bigger star than him in my eyes. But then again, that's just me being an Arsenal fan.
I mean, it looks like somebody who's threatened, because when you're threatened,
he is. He's the only player. There's 7 players on that team that have not scored an England goal, and he's got 50 caps. So I can understand why he's desperate for a goal. But
towards the end, he got the offside one, didn't he? And he was so, like, you could see his reaction after that. Yeah.
Definitely. Stephen just giving us the update. Obviously, as it stands, it would be England versus Germany as it stands. So yeah, I got to be honest with you guys. I think it got to about, and I wrote this down actually, because I thought I need to make a mental note of it. It got to the 62nd minute, and I looked at the clock, and I just thought to myself, what's happened? I don't know if it had started earlier than that in the match. It probably did, but for me, I got to about the 62nd minute, and I thought to myself, this is not the same team I was watching in the first half. Now, like I said, I don't want to put that down to the Henderson Declan Rice change, but why did we? I have my theory. Why did we come out in the second half and not perform? Was it because we took our foot off the gas and we knew we'd qualified already? Was it something to do with Southgate? Is it, should we really be criticizing the players here? Was it just they were fatigued? why was there such a contrast between the first half and the second half when really and truly there was only one change from the first half to the second half?
I mean, why can't it just be the obvious, right? Like you said, the obvious thing that changed in that second half is the way we started out with who we had in the middle. I don't, when I think of Henderson coming into our match, I don't necessarily think of it as, oh wait, we're going to improve our attack now from that position. That's not what he does, right? At least in my eyes, it's not what he does. So I kind of feel like if that's what we were lacking, because it looked like we just dried up all that, the attack that pressure that we were putting on them in that first half kind of just disappeared. Only one change happened. You would expect that the players to come out maybe, and that's why maybe you come out, you play that second half with the same players. You make sure that yes, this is what we want to do going forward. But as you said, Southgate's probably thinking, I need to get him some minutes if I'm going to play him later. So he brings him in at halftime, and then we see what happens. He does. So he probably doesn't even know if I just stuck with the same lineup going into the next match, how they're going to play coming out of halftime, because he changed it up just enough, and we saw a difference in the play. It worries some, right? It worries a lot. That's the thinking there. So I kind of feel like it's. I think a lot of things are easy. We just try to complicate them and say, no, you know what? It was the players coming out after they went into the locker room. He gave them some new instructions. Then
I think
like
Henderson is part of a new instruction, though. I think bringing Henderson on, he gets on the ball. He's able to just, keep the play moving, keep it quite simple. And, I think, Declan Rice is a more defensive midfielder, and Henderson, I think it was all set up for England to maybe get a second on the counter attack, knowing that Czech Republic would probably come more out into the second half trying to get the equaliser.
Yeah, it was an interesting one for me, and I think sometimes I'm a bit biased because I've said previously I'm not Southgate's biggest fan, and I think in a way it's kind of a little bit of both of what you've just said. I think the change didn't help. In terms of the game itself. And I think, so with that aspect, I agree with you, Gary. And then in the same aspect, I agree with you, Mike, because I think that change in itself is an instruction for the team to play differently. So it's kind of a combination of the two. And I just thought the way we were playing, why not just let the players play like that? Maybe get to maybe the 60th, 70th minute and then make the change at that point. And that's why the Henderson Declan Rice change for me was quite worrying. Even though we had such a good first half, I can't deny that I was quite concerned by that change at that point. And then obviously the second half just did not flow the way the first half did. Now there were some later changes in the game. We saw, I think it was on the 66th minute, we saw Rashford replace Sterling. We saw Bellingham replace Grealish. I'm not even going to get into that, from my opinion. Lottie, what did you make of those substitutions?
It was bizarre, to be honest with you. I mean, Kane should have come off for someone else. He was just non-existent. Well, it was deflated as you guys just said, but he was non-existent for me. I mean, there was shots that he had on target. He should have scored them. I don't know, for a player of his caliber, he should have scored them. And I just don't understand why it's not going in for him. As we know, there's no scoring boots. But those changes were interesting, but they didn't make much of a difference for me. I mean, I was bored within 5 minutes. Yeah, I was just apart from the shots on target, that was it. It was just nothing. It was just flat and boring. I mean,
that was going to kind of lead on to my next question. With regards to those changes, and I have to say, I think quite a few of Southgate's changes this tournament, I feel as though they've had really little to no impact on the games whatsoever. I thought, I find it hard to criticize Rashford, and sometimes it's not because I like him particularly as a player, but I just feel as though he does a lot off the pitch, but with regards to his community and stuff like that. But at the moment on the pitch, I've got to put my football in England cap on, and quite frankly, I don't know what he's doing. He doesn't even look like he's even interested in being on a football pitch at the moment, and I don't know what the reason is. And for me, throughout all 3 games, when Southgate has brought on players, for me, there's literally been no impact whatsoever. So I can't even sit here and say to you, oh, you know what? I legitimize saying, you know, Rashford might be worth a start, or he might be, you know, he should be called upon in the next game. Or Bellingham, obviously, he's a young lad. I think it was his first appearance in the competition, so I don't think we can be too critical of him. You know, he was energetic. He put himself about. You know, he put some effort in. But is that a problem? I'll come to you, Mike. Is that a problem that, you know? Well, it's an obvious question. It is a problem, but why are we not having? Why are the substitutions that Southgate's, you know, making not having an impact on games? Because we have so many offensive players that we can't fit them all into the same team. So we should have good options on the bench. Why are these options on the bench?
Sorry, mate. It's an interesting one, really, because was Foden on the bench last night, or was Foden out of the squad completely?
I think he was completely out, Mike. He said he was resting him. I think so. Yeah, I don't think he was on the bench at all.
Okay,
and that's why Saka got a look in, I think.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Sorry, Mike.
No, that's fine. But in regards to the substitutions, it's because it's Gareth Southgate. Gareth Southgate doesn't know what he's doing half of the time anyway. Like, you know, I think he'd replace Harry Kane. He'd replace Harry Kane with anyone. He could probably replace Harry Kane with Reece James up front. Like that's what Southgate does. He doesn't. He's technically inept. He doesn't have a clue. And that's it really at the end of the day. Like, you know, I think that Kane about Willian.
Jay, you're killing us with these comments. Keep going, mate.
Oh gosh.
But no, I think with Southgate, I'm just not sure. Well, I'm pretty certain he's not the right man for the job, to be honest. And I think when you look at this, is something I was thinking of earlier in regards to Harry Kane as well. When you know, when you think about that, Harry Kane's obviously been substituted a couple of times throughout the groups. But if that was Michael Owen, if that was Alan Shearer, if that was Wayne Rooney, then they're not getting subbed, are they?
Yeah. Sorry, Mike. It looks like in the France game, 3 minutes left, and there's another penalty check. I don't know if anyone's ahead of me.
It said check over on.
Check over.
For France. No, it wasn't given. Yeah.
They're in the 93rd minute right now, so 2 more minutes.
I'm at 92 and a half. I'm at 30 seconds behind you guys. Never mind.
No problem.
Right. I was just saying, I was just saying about the Harry Kane one. Like, you're not going to sub off Michael Owen or Alan Shearer or Wayne Rooney or, you know, even Gary Lineker or somebody like that, are you? You know, a major tournament. But Harry Kane, where he's not been performing, you know, Gareth Southgate's been left with no other option in that case.
Yeah.
But in terms of the other subs, I don't think he's got many of them right, really. Like taking off Grealish, I don't know what he was doing there when Grealish was alongside Saka with our best players. You know, and I think even who was the other sub when so it was Bellingham that come on, and also Rashford. Bringing on Rashford, I'm not sure really what Rashford's done in this tournament apart from, you know, lace his boots up. But yeah, pretty much. And I think, like I said, you know, there's a couple of things that are really concerning me moving forward. One is the lack of goals, and I think 2 is the impact of substitutions. You really need to, you know, I think, as I've said on many shows, we are really blessed with quite a few offensive players. We were talking about it just before we came on air, me and Gary and all of us, Mike, Lottie, we were having this conversation, but it just seems to worry me that these players who are first team players, one, he doesn't seem to be calling upon certain players. So you've got DCL who hasn't had a sniff. Sancho hasn't had a sniff. And then the ones that he is calling on, they seem to just come on, have a bit of a jog around. And then the game's over. They don't really seem to impact the game at all. Now, obviously, you know, that kind of summed up the game really in terms of obviously moving forward. I think the last kind of talking points were really that there was a late substitution. Mings was brought on for Stones. Shutting out shot pretty much to give him an extra few minutes. Yeah, literally
just kind of, you know, juggling between the centre backs there.
And maybe because he'll play 3 at the back next game, so maybe just to give Mings an extra bit of time there, and Stones and Maguire will probably play alongside him.
Could be, depending on obviously. Well, it looks like
it's finished 2-2, so it's going to be Portugal by the looks of it.
It's going to be Germany.
Germany, sorry, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be Germany. Well, and we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that shortly. So one thing that I definitely want to move on to is, hopefully it comes up too shortly, are these two. So, and obviously, you know, we can talk about these two. We can focus more on Saka. But yeah, what an impact these two made. I think, you know, the whole nation were calling out for, you know, Saka and Grealish to get a start for England, to be included in the first team. And boy, they had an impact within that first 45 minutes. So yeah, I'm literally going to just give you license to say what you want, how you want, when you want about these two players or one of the two. And I'll start with, who's the lucky person? I'll start with Gary first. Go on then, Gary.
Why does it take this long? You know, why are we waiting for these players to get on the pitch? Should they have not played the first one and then sat out the third match? You know, because they want to rest them for the next round. I mean, I feel like these players need to be out there, and unless they are injured, they should be playing, right? Based on what we're seeing, if he didn't have the confidence that they could play, then he definitely has it now, right? He has confidence in Henderson, and he hasn't played at all. So, you know, he's seen these players play, succeed. So, you know, it should be easy, right? I always say that you hear this from me all the time. It should be easy. This one seems like an easy one to me. Grealish and Saka get to play. What you do around them, you know, they'll muddle through no matter what you give them, right? You know, we talked about Saka and who he had behind him, I think today or in the game, and it didn't matter that they were struggling or they weren't up to, you know, his level in terms of what he was looking to do, because he seems to always overcome whatever struggles he has, I guess, around him in terms of players that are around him. He always seems to excel no matter what happens, and he always seems to do the right thing. So I think it should be easy. Let him play. I mean, I think they brought more, you know, like I said, more offensive attacks that we were looking to get and we should get from this team. So you got to play them. I think Southgate, like you said, is kind of looking at, looking at how it used to be. And it's like, you know what, that time's gone. Now it's how it should, you know, there's a future on that bench right now. There's a future of England football on the bench. I mean, all these people want to spend a lot of money to buy them, and it's not because they can sit on the bench of an England team in the Euros. No way, right? Sancho is not that player that should get, what did he get? He got like 5 minutes? I don't.
Yeah, last few minutes at the end, and it looked like he was warming up for about 20 minutes beforehand.
Yeah, I don't think that's the type of player that people are talking about, right? Like, this comes in for 5 minutes. Bellingham, same thing. Another big player that's out there that, you know, his name comes up anytime there's a transfer move going on that could potentially happen. It's those players. So what is the rest of, what is Europe seeing that England's isn't, right? Because these players are pretty good in their own right, and they should get to play. And you know, sometimes the old guard has to go. It's time. I think it's time. Everybody looks back. I mean, we even look back for Arsenal. We look back a lot, right? And we've got some young players coming up right now that are changing that for us, and we're happy to see that. Same thing with the England football. I think they have up top. You know, you've got your Foden, your Saka, your Grealish. Put them on the pitch. Let's figure out how to get them to play well together, right? Find a striker that goes with them. Is that DCL? I don't know. It seems easy enough, right? They put the crosses in. He's going to be right there. He's a big guy. He'll be up there, you know, so why not? So this easy. I think it's easy. Play them. Everybody expect us to play them. I don't, like you said, I don't think if he doesn't play them, imagine no, I don't. Somebody's in it. No,
it's something I can't imagine. Like, honestly, like I think Twitter will break if Southgate doesn't include Grealish and Saka in his lineup. But yeah, Mike, Lottie, Mike, you know, thoughts on obviously Grealish and Saka being in the lineup and moving forward. How good are these two players?
I love Grealish. I thought Grealish was fantastic yesterday. Sorry, Lottie. You know, when you get him on the ball to run at teams and, you know, win the free kicks, win set pieces, you know, potentially win you a penalty or whatever as well. He's really good. He can get you on the front foot, and he's the kind of player that can make something happen out of nothing as well. Just give him the ball and just get him to run at teams, and then you're in a better position than you were when you started off. And in regards to Saka, I was just so pleased to see him play. And I thought he was exceptional, you know, on the front foot as well. He kind of turned to possession. into sort of an attack as well, and going down that side there as well. And yeah, I was just so pleased for Saka, and I thought he was fantastic and thoroughly deserved the start of the match that he got as well. And I really hope that they both get to play next game, and Southgate doesn't do a Southgate and drop them both. Yeah.
Yeah. Lottie?
Southgate can't drop either of them. End of story. I mean, they've proven how much they deserve to be on this team and deserve to be playing in the next game. I mean, I was saying in the last show how deflated, how boring, and how slow it was. As soon as I saw them names on the team sheet, I was tweeting you, G, I'm changing my prediction. I was so worried that the same team was coming out. I mean, I know you're a massive. I'm gonna call you a fanboy of Grealish because you are, and I'm a massive fangirl for Saka. Like we between me and you, we both absolutely adore them.
Yeah,
and. Like the excitement, literally, with him, I wasn't ready for this game. It didn't even cross my mind all day. And then I saw that team sheet and I was like, yes, I'm ready for this. Come on, England is coming home. And it was back to normal. I mean, there's no valid reason for Southgate to drop them unless he is going to play favourites. That is always the thing with him. It's just constant favourites. I mean, Sterling, Kane, Henderson, all favourites. But no, there's no reason to drop either of them. They can't be dropped. Twitter will break. I think just social media will break in general from the England fans. From the outrage.
I think he's got a problem on his hands, definitely. Because I think we all sitting there. And I feel as though we're all on the same page with regard to Southgate in terms of the teams he selects. And that, he has his favourites and he doesn't necessarily, put the right players out there with the right combinations, etc. So I think, for the first time in a long time, I think there's going to be a real kind of spotlight on his next team selection. And obviously, given the fact that, we are in the last 16, we're going to be playing Germany. I believe that's definite now, isn't it? Germany.
I think in their training sessions, there's going to be fierce competitions for that starting 11. Fierce, and I just hope they bring that to the pitch.
I just worry if I think the game's at 5:00 next Tuesday. I just worry at like 3:30 if that team sheet comes out and their names are not on it, and he better just pray to the footballing gods that match goes well, because honestly, I think if that match doesn't go well, if he doesn't get that team selection right, God forbid we go out. God forbid, he's gone in my book. He has to go, because after the performances from when you think about the fact that Grealish had such a good game, and Saka, who didn't even get the assist, got man of the match, that tells you how collectively they played, how well they played. It was like watching a completely different team. And we're all lovers. We all want our teams. We always want England to win. We want Arsenal, whatever it is, to win. But there's no better feeling than winning when you're playing attractive football. That's what we want. We were spoiled, for many years, with the Arsene Wenger teams, of the past, and just the liquid football that they played. It was just beautiful to watch. Not only were we so successful, it was the way we won. And I know sometimes that doesn't always matter, and I agree with that, but it made it even sweeter because we won in that way. And yeah, I'm all for, whenever I played in the defensive half of the pitch. And I'm all about keeping the defense tight. But, if you've got those attacking players at your disposal, just let them loose, let them free, and just let them have fun, because they just go out there on the pitch and they just do the rest. And you could just tell that the Czech Republic were just absolutely terrified every time Saka and Grealish got the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing also. I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but, if it continues, Grealish will take a lot of the hits that Saka usually takes because the other teams seem threatened by both of them, and they're always on the ground. I saw Grealish was on the ground a couple of times in this match, and I think, that's the things that they, teams have no choice. Sometimes they have to bring them down. That happens all the time. But Grealish is taking all the hits, so I'm kind of a little okay with that. Because Saka's not getting those hits right now. And like you said, those two players were playing kind of with their hands tied behind their back because they didn't have the Kane that we wanted to see. They didn't have a Sterling that should be a lot better than he was. I mean, yes, he scored the goal, but I feel like if he had a, I don't know, 25% better form in terms of everything else that he had to do on the pitch, the game shouldn't have been that close at all, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like that's what they're looking for. You're looking for, I always say, you're looking for some improvement from game to game, right? So this was, I think, a big improvement in the sense of the subs, the new players that he brought in. So now, if they were to stay with this, hopefully that means Kane, just get up, stay up top, just don't drop back, please. Sterling, when continue to do what you do, finish, please. You know, they're gonna open the goal for you. Those two are gonna open up the goal for you. It's gonna look really big because they're gonna have to take heed to Saka and Grealish on the pitch, right? I feel like that's what they bring. They bring that. Oh, well, you know, we're gonna have to keep an eye on them. Next thing you know, Sterling is sitting on the backside of a cross by himself with an open goal. Right, that's what happens when you bring those two on. That's what I saw. So yeah, I'm hoping that will continue.
I think we'll still, for the next game, I think we'll play an extra attacking player as well. You know, I said earlier about the defenses maybe playing the three, but considering we're not coming up against Cristiano Ronaldo or Benzema or Mbappe, I think we might actually go a little bit more attacking now, which would be a good thing for us.
Yeah, but you got to also remember, I mean, it's like at the moment I've kind of taken to before every England game saying Stones is known for his bozo moments. And if Cal's watching, that's his phrase. I do apologise. I mean, Mings is known for those moments as well. And I think having the four will be a bit more safer for them. I've seen Maguire have his moments as well, and it's just a case of trusting them.
I've seen Maguire.
But I'm not slamming their performances so far.
I was just saying, I've seen Maguire when he was playing against Stevenage and he got torn apart by Dani Lopez, Spanish kid who was like, I think he was about 22 at the time, and Stevenage beat him 4-0. So I know what he used to be like, but he's an 80 million player now, but I don't see that in him.
No, but it's just those bozo moments you just don't want to see. And I think for me, Stones is notorious. He's done really well the last 3 games. I mean, absolutely impressed, don't get me wrong, but I'm still expecting something to go wrong from him. I don't know about you, Gary. I mean, you're just sitting there smiling.
No, because you're saying Stones, and I'm like thinking Maguire will do something silly as well, and it's in his back pocket. So it might be deep right now, but it's there, you know, and he might go and grab it once in a while. But yeah, it's there, and it shows itself once in a while. And so far, not, you know, we didn't see it the other match, I don't think so. But yeah, but I still feel like whoever they go with on that back line, I think it's not the difference in it is not what we're going to see. And it's not what we just saw by putting in Grealish and Saka. That was, to me, a massive improvement from what we saw in the first 2 matches. So the back line, I think, they've got a solid, the depth there is really good. So I think that's a good thing about the way the England team is set up. And that's why they, you know, I think when a lot of people think about them and they think, you know what, they have a chance, right? That's because they are deep all over the place, and we haven't even seen some of the players at this point, right? There's still players that we have no clue how they're going to play in this team, and for the next 8 years, they're gonna be here, right? They're gonna be here for like the next 8 years. So you know they should get better, and when they're away from the pitch, as far as an England team, when they come back, you know, every time they come back, they're just gonna be a little bit better. So yeah,
I do, but then again, we've got Saka for another decade. Who's looking forward to that playing for England? And also Bellingham, another decade.
Arsenal, we just need to make sure, you know, we
need to tie him down.
I'm not going to get onto it because I need to keep this England focused. But yeah, we just need to. I have to say it. We need to just match his ambition because, you know, he's such a top player that, you know, if that lot don't match his ambition, boy, the offers they're gonna start coming in thick and fast for this boy. Because for me, he is the definition of a wonder kid. And I tell you, the thing is, he doesn't even play like a kid. He plays like a grown ass man. You know, like. But when you look at him, it's so interesting because after the match, like I watch him, and I think I sent Stephen and Lottie a message, and I said, you know, it's not just the way he plays football; it's the way he talks.
He carries himself.
He's just such a nice lad. He's so humble. He's so down to earth. Like he just seems so well rounded. But then I look at him and he looks about 12 years old, and I see him just skinning past, like you know, these professionals, like they're not even there. It's crazy.
No, it is. I
Absolutely.
mean, I think the commentators were talking about him, and apparently he got all A stars on his GCSEs, and he can play ball.
Yeah.
You're telling me he's
Yeah.
not an intelligent player? He's
Yeah.
he's
Look at him.
phenomenal.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, the
just
media this
phenomenal.
morning though did slightly annoy me this morning. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the headlines.
Yeah.
They're all looking at the house he's just bought, and they're looking to find something so negative about him, and I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Can we not just enjoy?
Yeah, you got to enjoy
He's
it for
phenomenal
what he is
human
as a
being.
player. Yeah,
Exactly. It's not
just a
about where
phenomenal
he's
player.
living or anything else. It's
Yeah.
just I don't understand it.
It's also, at the beginning of this, as soon as the season ended, it was like, will Saka even make the team for whatever reason? And you're like, are you serious?
Yeah.
At some point, that was actually a thought that, he might not even make the
100%.
team. He might not even make the team. And you're like, and that's probably the Southgate influence, right? That, what, he doesn't look at him the same way he looks at some of these other players. And it should be really, once again, it should be really easy. Saka makes it easy when he gets out there and he plays, no matter what the situation. You bring him in late, you let him start. Yeah. He always proves you right. Yeah. Right? You put him, and the nice thing is you can put him anywhere. Right? Think about it. You know what? Yeah. You're just struggling. You're like, you know what? We need to bring in another player. Let's throw him in the back. Let him play on the back line. We'll bring in another attacker who's fresh, and we'll let him play. And you don't lose much, right? You don't lose much.
I was just going to say you can play him right mid, left mids, left full back, anywhere and everywhere. And
he plays all three parts, really.
And even in a number 10 possibly as well. Like, I think he's played there before and done a job. So I was in conversations with Justin Hoyt yesterday, a former player at Arsenal. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, I remember him well.
And I'm getting quite close with Justin at the moment because he's helping us out with the commentaries and stuff as a co-commentator, and he was just saying how much he loves Saka and watching Saka. So even Peter Crouch come out and said it. You got to play Saka next game. Yeah,
he's loved by everyone, and it's not hard to see why. He's just a nice lad, phenomenally talented footballer. Yeah. It's just fantastic.
I think the highlight. Sorry, G. I think the highlight from yesterday I've been enjoying is all the Spurs fans apologising to me at the moment because they didn't want him to play. And I'm like, look, we're outshining your star player. Go away. Yeah. I'm just enjoying absolutely loving it at the moment.
This ceasefire won't last long. It will only last as long as the Euros.
It lasts as long as England's on. You put domestic rivalry aside.
The ceasefire won't last long, I tell you that.
We actually want Kane to succeed, right? We actually want Kane to succeed. That's how bad it is. Yeah. That's where, you know what? Yeah. Tomorrow, when it's all over, it's like, did I say that? No, I don't think so. I think you might have had the wires might have been crossed, and it sounded like
I love it with Saka, how he was just so like nobody expected Saka to play. Like, on the Scotland game, he wasn't even involved. He wasn't even in the squad.
Yeah.
Crazy. To be fair, Mike, when we had that conversation on your channel, I did call it third game.
You did. No, you did. To be fair, you did.
It's crazy. But so obviously moving forward, like as the show's gone on, the games have developed. They're now over, and we do know that we will now be playing Germany next Tuesday at 5 p.m. at Wembley. Obviously in the last 16. At this point, how are we feeling now? To be honest, if I'm going to be completely honest, I quite fancy our chances in this match. From what I've seen so far. How are you feeling at this point? I'll come to you first, Lottie, with this one. How are you feeling?
Bring on the Germans. Bring on the Germans. Yeah, I mean, we know they're a good team. You can just look at the names, but they are also, I find, a very aging team. Mm-hmm. And I think with the likes of Grealish, the likes of Saka, they will absolutely run rings around their back four and through the middle. To be fair, but. Mm-hmm. I think what worries me again is I've got back on my mind is those Bozo moments. I know we're solid at the back and we've got the depth, as Gary has said, but it's those Bozo moments that are creeping up on the back of my mind, and I'm just hoping not to see any of that. But at the same time, I want to see a completely fresh team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just going to say when I looked at, because I was just looking at the lineup today, and I was like, Arsenal, no presence for former Arsenal players, right? Mm-hmm. So. Gnabry, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to take a 0, You're gonna take a 0 on Tuesday. I'm
100%.
sorry, you're taking a 0. Somehow, some way, you're not getting
He's
anything.
been phenomenal actually this tournament. I'm not gonna lie.
No, that's what scares me is that
Yeah.
we seem to always give the presents to our former players, and if there's a script that you can write up, which we usually are on that script, right? Gnabry plays England. I guess I'm saying, sorry, step back. I've got my Arsenal hat on when I talk about that, but I just feel like, you know what? No, I don't want to see it. You can do good when you're playing for your domestic team, but not on Tuesday. So 0 for that. But like you said, I feel like this should be a building block if we can get better. We don't really have to change anything. We just have to play a little bit better in different spots and different opportunities when they come across. And you'll see, Germany isn't as threatening as they've been in the past, right? We've got some seasoned players on our side. They have, like you said, a lot of aging players. It is one for us to have, so it should be a good one.
Yeah, Mike.
I'm quite confident. I think we can get a good result, a positive result, and knock Germany out. As you say, they're an aging side. You've got to be wary of Gnabry. I think Gnabry's been, excellent this tournament. Of course, Havertz as well, Sane, the likes of Gundogan as well. They're all fantastic players. Don't get me wrong, but with the youth that we've got and the attacking options that we've got, if they play on their A game or top of their game, then England can be a match and certainly beat anyone on their day. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I think England have got a very good chance, and you just don't want penalties. That's the end of the day. Just anything but a shootout.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
I think I figured out the smoking gun. They are playing in England, right?
Yeah,
Wembley.
Yes, Wembley.
So maybe Havertz will be the Havertz that we saw early part of the season.
Yeah.
When he comes back, he's like, "Oh, I remember this place," and then we see that because that's what we need. I want it to be easy for us, but maybe that will happen.
It's what, regardless of the fact that Germany are not the team of old, for me it's going to be a tough game. Just because
they did do Portugal, didn't they? 4-2 the other game.
They have it in them, to lift their game. They have enough quality about them to lift their game and repeat a performance like that. So in terms of that game, obviously right now we're feeling confident, and I think it's mainly to do with maybe not so much even how England have played, but maybe how we played in our last match in combined with what we've seen of Germany so far. But score predictions on this one. I'll come to you first, Mike.
I'm going to go. What do I reckon in regards to score prediction for this? I'm going to go England to get the 2-1.
Okay, Lottie.
I'm going to go 2-0 England. I've just double checked some stats, and the last 5 games we've won 1. So I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to be brave.
Okay.
So, and that's in friendlies. So.
I saw this. Liam, is it Liam?
Yeah, Liam.
Yeah. I know we're gonna get 2 goals and win. I don't necessarily care what they do on the other side. They can get 1 goal, they get none. But we need to get 2 goals first, anyways. First to 2 wins, as far as in my book. So and we have a team that can do that. Once we put 2 in, I think the game will we'll be able to handle it a little bit better. So let's do that and just do it early, right? Why not do it early? Go into halftime and then figure out what to do after that. Because if we can get the same first half again, a similar first half that we just had, there's a goals there that we kind of look back and go, you know what, what if? And little improvement. So we got 1 goal in the first half. Let's get 2 this time and see how we go.
Do you know what? I'd love to see that momentum full 90 minutes though. Has to be 90 minutes. It can't be half a game.
As you can see, Stephen's in full support. You're going home. England's going home. C lines on the shirt. Yeah. Cheers for that, Stephen.
Thanks, Stephen.
Let's go. Let's move on to some more positive comments. So we've got England. We've got Wheezy J saying England 2, Germany 0. We've got Keith here.
This is good. Yeah.
Danger man for Germany is Gossens for me. 3-1. Extra time England. Okay. Stephen once again blessing up the chat with his positivity. Quickest exit from Wembley. So and Keith, thank you very much, Keith. Stephen, best.
Thank you, Keith.
But yeah, so that kind of, really pretty much sums up, the show. Obviously, pretty in-depth kind of review of how the game went and play analysis there. Obviously, we know now that we've got Germany next Tuesday at 5 p.m. And I think pretty much we're all feeling pretty confident with regards to that game. I think if there's ever a time that the best time to play the Germans, it would be now. Definitely in terms of what I've seen so far in the tournament. In terms of when we will be back, now I'll have a conversation with Lottie. I'll have a conversation with Stephen, because obviously so far, those of you who've been following our shows, this has been episode 3 of 3 Lions Road to Wembley. And so far we've only been doing review shows. So after the game, obviously, as now it's moving to the latter stages of the competition, we may potentially look at doing some preview and review shows. But do stay tuned with regards kind of updates and notifications. Nothing has really been decided as yet, because obviously things are just kind of happening. They were happening and unfolding as the show was going on. So we will definitely, keep you posted with regards all that information. We will be back on Monday, Cannon Chatter TV, not for 3 Lions Road to Wembley, but for our weekly installment of the Rumour Mill. Because despite the Euros, every single day on Twitter, Arsenal are, linked with this player, that player. The 120th right back, the 150th left back since the window's open. So we will be back like clockwork Monday night, 9 p.m. for the Rumour Mill. And we will keep you updated with regards to 3 Lions Road to Wembley. What I do know is we will definitely be back next Wednesday for a review show. Just stay tuned, in terms of what we're going to be doing, maybe before that with regards to a preview, but we'll keep you posted. Obviously, all that's been kind of left to say is, massive thank you to you, Gary. A massive thank you to you, Mike. Massive thank you to Antonio. I know it was a little bit sporadic for you, Antonio, because you were kind of busy driving and reception wasn't great, but massive thank you for coming on the show initially. Always a pleasure having you, Lottie, as a fellow team member on the show. So if you can just kind of, this is just your little opportunity here, Gary, Mike, to just let the guys know where they can follow you. If there's any other kind of podcasts, webcasts, channels and stuff that you do, anything you want to kind of promote, feel free to go ahead. We'll start with you, Gary.
All right. Yeah. So as you can see there, the DWTT is that's my handle in YouTube. DWTT Arsenal. I should pop up first. Don't waste a tweet on Twitter. I kind of scan the globe in terms of Twitter, so in terms of YouTube. So you'll see me in the chats all the time. I am a regular on Arsenal Fan Circle. We do 2 shows a week on Thursdays and Sundays, and then otherwise I kind of jump in when I'm allowed. When I get an invite. So I appreciate that. Thank you, G, Lottie, and Stephen for thinking of me to come on. I appreciate that. Enjoyed it. Look forward to hopefully doing it again in the future. So, but thank you, everybody in the chats. Thank you as well, Mike. Thanks, for being on the show with you, Antonio. Same thing, Lottie, G, Stephen. I know we'll talk. Thank you.
Definitely appreciate it, man. Mike.
So yeah, you can. The Twitter is @GoonerElite. That's the Arsenal one. There's also Commentary Hub as well, which is the commentary channel for where we're doing all of the games for the Euros. I think there's only been about 3 games from the group that we haven't done. And we've got our podcast tomorrow for that as well, on the back of the group stages finishing going into the start of the knockout round as well, which I think is Saturday that starts with Denmark and Wales. And then, I do other interviews as well. Stevenage, I do some interviews, SFC interviews as well. So there's plenty of places, as I was saying to you before, G. I'm always busy, mate.
Yeah, definitely. Massive thank you for that. And Lottie, if you could just kind of run through our socials right at the end here.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everybody in the chat tonight that's joined in. I hope you've enjoyed. And if it's your first time and you've enjoyed it, please subscribe. We really want to get Stephen's hair bleached.
Yes.
We need to get to 500 by the 13th of August. Right. Anyway, if you want to find us on Facebook, you can come find us on Cannon Chatter, or on Instagram, it's Cannon_Chatter. If you want to follow our main account, it's on Twitter, it's @Cannon Chat. Or if you want to follow Stephen and see if he actually bleaches his hair, it's SB Cannon Chatter. Or if you want to follow my wonderful co-host over here, G, it's G Talks Arsenal. Or if you want to follow me, it's Lottie_B with 2 I's. Or you can go and if you want to relive the last season, you can go check my blog out, lottie@afc.blogspot.co.uk. Make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications and hit that like button. Thank you again, everybody.
Brilliant. So
thanks for having me on as well, Lottie and G. It's been great to catch up with you and to chat to you, and also you there as well. It's great to speak to you as well.
Definitely.
Gary, isn't it? Yeah,
Gary.
Yeah.
Just some of the last comments here. I'll just pick them up as we go. So Keith, great show, you lot, brilliant panel, very knowledgeable as always. And Weezy J, good show tonight, guys. And we've also got here Liam Gardner, great show, guys, really enjoyable again. So and just I think the last thing to say, obviously, is just a really massive thank you for you guys for coming on. Really do appreciate it, because obviously, this is your time. I know you guys juggle, obviously personal life, work, etc. So we do massively appreciate you guys coming on. But just a last thing, because we've run through the socials, we've said our thank yous. Obviously, do remember that we are back on Monday. We will be back on Wednesday for sure. Monday is the rumor mill. Wednesday is our review of the England-Germany game. But most importantly, the last thing I've got to say is, yes, we do have, I don't know what we call it, a dare, a challenge, a quest, whatever you want to call it, a challenge. But we are, we are a small channel. We are growing. We do have a very loyal, fan base, some really good friends, on Twitter. But we are looking to kind of increase our subscribers. And we've set ourselves a little bit of a challenge. So we are aiming for 500 subscribers by the 13th of August. Now, if you can help us achieve this, Stephen has agreed to dye his hair and bleach his hair blonde. So, we're going to be sharing it on Twitter, probably daily, retweeting stuff, putting things out there. It's a real good opportunity for you to kind of obviously help us grow our channel, but obviously to see Stephen bleach his hair. And if he does, it will definitely be put out there in terms of social media. I'm not saying it would be live, but we will definitely put something out there so we can kind of capture all the key moments. So please do show your support. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. And the only other thing is to say is for everybody to just have a really good evening. Good evening to you, Gary. Good evening to you, Mike. Good evening to you, Lottie. And I guess it's good night from all of us.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care, people.